Good afternoon, everyone. 4:30 on a Football Friday edition of On Cue. Indeed, it is a What the Frig Friday edition of On Cue. As always, I'm your host, Rich Quinones. Hope everyone had a wonderful Sports Thursday and you are enjoying your Friday, the 14th of November, not the 13th, the 14th of November, 2025. As always, get in on the conversation. You can hashtag on Q. You can check me out on X, social media, multiple platforms. Very easy to do at Rich Q on X and IG, SR102 FM, the game. And of course, as always, on the YouTube channel at Rich Q on Q. Like, comment, subscribe. An hour plus on this Football Friday edition. And of course, you guys out there, we're powered by our wonderful friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. 20% off your first purchase, Fresh Roasted Coffee, BYP20. That'll get you some nice little savings as the weather is really starting to, just turn around and just get absolutely, as I try to adjust myself over here, absolutely nasty out. I mean, I'm looking outside. It looks like it's overcast up and down the East Coast, outside of Philly and Jersey and the Jersey Shore and New York and all over the place. Snow will become a calling very shortly as we are in the heart of November with the holiday season right around the corner. So it is a What the Frig Friday. So in essence, what made you say what the frig in the world of sports? A lot of NFL today. Some baseball. We'll dive into. Look, I mean, it's no surprise, right? Otani and Judge, arguably the two best players in the sport, both winning MVPs, NL, AL, respectively. We've got Week 11 on the docket in the NFL. Busy college football weekend, little NBA as well to touch on. But we'll begin with the NFL. Don't forget John Bueller in about 30 minutes or so from Fanside at Lloyd Vance. We're hoping to track him down for a couple moments as well. So last night, Thursday night football, there you go. You got to love it. 13 and a half, New England, and boom, right? I mean, always little touch and go with the line. The Pats, easy win over the New York Jets, 27-14. The Patriots improved to 9-2. They are a legit squad. They've got the head coach, they've got players on both sides of the football, and they have a great young quarterback in Drake May. The flip side for that, if you are a New York Jet fan, and there's a couple schools of thought to go with the New York Jets, because I don't know how many times we have talked about coaching in the NFL. I don't know how many times we have talked about, the right scheme, the right fit. Now, this is not breaking news, but Justin Fields is done. Justin Fields is not an NFL starting quarterback. He's just not. I mean, he is at this point, he might even be not even a backup. He might be an emergency quarterback. I mean, he has been just dreadful. He has been god awful for the Jets. It's been that bad for Justin Fields and this offense and this overrated defense and the miscues last night. Justin Fields was 15-26 for $116. He got sacked a couple times. He made some plays with his legs, but again, a lot of these plays didn't have to be made by the legs. He's just not seeing the field. He's not making the throws. He looks absolutely lost. He's playing with zero confidence. If you look at his numbers this season, Justin Fields has had 1, 2, 3, 4 games where he's thrown for less than 60 friggin' yards. He is not an NFL quarterback right now. He's not. And here's the problem. If you are the New York Jets, if you're the New York Jets and if you're Aaron Glenn, you got to start thinking to yourself, am I going to be one and done here? Am I going to be one and done as head coach of the New York Jets? Because you can't call timeouts and then have 12 men on the field. You can't call timeouts and not have, the offense set up. You can't call a timeout and then have a delay of game penalty. And the worst thing right now that's going on with Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets is this head coach's reluctance. And that's all it is. It's stubbornness and it's reluctance to bench Justin Fields. because at this point, it's an utter embarrassment. It's a joke. It's not even fun to watch. That was a putrid game last night. You knew exactly how it was going to transpire because the Jets are a bad football team. They are a bad franchise. And the quarterback, I don't want to beat this kid up. I don't want to beat this kid up because I love the fact that you got professionalism and he stands up there and he takes the bullets, but he just stinks. He stinks. And this team is void of talent. The lack of talent. You want to sit there and say they're competitive, whatever. That means nothing to me. The head coach has no clue what he's doing right now. There's zero rhyme or reason when it comes to Aaron Glenn as head coach of the New York Jets. I didn't like the hire. I didn't back the hire. I was never ingratiated with the hire. I said to myself, this is going to be a debacle. Why? Because again, you're hoping you can catch lightning in a bottle. And the fact that this head coach, this grown man, goes back and forth, piss and vinegar with the media every single solitary week about who's going to start, who's not going to start. That's all on him. Going back and forth with O'Connor, going back and forth with Samini, it gets old. It gets old. That's not how a head coach should operate in the NFL. It's like the nonsense of Brian Daboll with all the friggin' tantrums on the sideline. Eventually, the act wears thin. It wears thin. And it's bad enough your quarterback stinks. It's bad enough your offense can't sustain drives. And it's worse that you're so reluctant to turn around and bench this kid because what you're basically doing is you're telling the rest of that roster, the rest of that locker room, the rest of that team, you are content with what? Stinking up the joint? That's exactly what you're saying. You're content with bad football. I'm content with just going out there and maybe competing a little bit. But also basically getting my doors blown off every single solitary time. I mean, I'm telling you right now, it's just I don't get it. I don't get it. It's not even about putting this kid in harm's way like he's a running back, right? That's not it. And you got to make a blunt assessment. You have to. And you can't sit there a couple weeks ago and sit there and say, well, the quarterback's got to play better. And then when the media goes after you in regards to the quarterback, you're trying to protect the quarterback and defend the quarterback, and you're doing a 180. You have to change quarterbacks right now. You have to. You have to. It's utterly embarrassing and ridiculous that the New York Jets decide we're going to keep rolling this kid out there. It's bad coaching. It's, as a lot of people will say, malpractice. And it might cost Aaron Glenn his job. It might cost Aaron Glenn his job. He might be one and done with the Jets if this really goes south. If I'm in that locker room, why the hell am I going to bust my ass every single solitary Sunday, knowing that I don't have a puncher's shot? I don't have a puncher's chance because my offense stinks because the quarterback can't play. So why am I going to go out there full throttle? The hot seat should be hot for Aaron Glenn. It really should. It should. I look at him and the fact that he doesn't know who the quarterback's going to be, the fact that you're calling timeouts during games and your offense isn't set. You got 11 men on the field, or not 11 men on the field, 12 men on the field. You have false start penalties. You trade away Williams, Gardner. Okay, fine. Now, you're not even concerned about securing that draft pick. I get it. You're trying to build a culture. Fine. So if you're trying to build a winning culture, then again, this is what you have to do. You have to turn around and you have to put out what? Good pieces in place. You have to put out a competitive friggin' product. And he's not even doing that. And that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. And if I'm the Jets, I can't deal with that. If I'm a player, I don't want to deal with that. I don't. I'm not going to go out there and bust my ass knowing that you're going to keep throwing this kid out there and I don't have a chance in hell to win a friggin' football game. That's on Aaron Glenn. That's on the head coach. And that's why I think he might be one and done if this really goes south. He's not a good head coach. And I don't want to hear about these growing pains. As I mentioned, some guys are just better off being coordinators. They're 2-8 right now. They're not playing competitive football. They're going to get waxed by the Ravens. They're going to lose to the Falcons. They'll lose to the Dolphins. They'll lose to Jacksonville. They might beat the Saints. They're not beating the Patriots, and they're not beating the Bills. They're a 2-3 win team. That's it, right? They're a 2-3 win team. That's it. All right, fast approaching 5 o'clock, a Friday edition of On Cue. Rich Quinones here. Don't forget, we're powered by our good friends over at Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea, fresh roasted coffee, 20% off your first purchase. Save 20% off on our good coffee, fresh roasted coffee, right here. Week 11 is among us in the NFL. You still got the drama that is the New York Football Giants. Oh, by the way, I told you this. Now there's reports coming out. Brian Daboll, Penn State. I mean, that's not a bad potential job to land on your feet. But we have week 11. Jameis Winston gets to start. Jackson Dart, concussion protocol. You might get 400 yards. You might get 80 yards and 5 picks. Who the hell knows? It might be fun to watch the Giants on Sunday without Russell Wilson. You've got a make or break game for many teams this weekend in the NFL. Make or break for many teams this weekend in the NFL. You know, Miami's trying to build upon a horrible season. Washington's playing for pride right now. Tampa looking to go on the road. Can we get that statement win over Buffalo? Is Buffalo going to rebound? You know, the Bears, do we take them serious? The Packers, do we take them serious? I'm looking right now. That line was 7.5, 8. Now that we know that Winston's playing instead of Russell Wilson, the line's dropped to 6.5. You know, is Cincinnati going to upset Pittsburgh? That's a game I want to talk a little bit about as well. Seattle and the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and Denver. The Denver Broncos have an opportunity. Again, the Denver Broncos have an opportunity to deliver the knockout punch against the Kansas City Chiefs with a win. You got the drama that is the Philadelphia Eagles that can't freaking get out of their own way against Detroit. And I'm telling you right now, if their offense sputters, they might get their fannies handed to them on Sunday Night Football. And then you got a Monday night snooze fest. The Cowboys and the Raiders, Colts and the Saints have buys. A lot of NFL. We'll mix in a little MLB. Ohtani, Judge, there we have it. Two best players in the game getting the MVP trophies. What else is new? I mean, I still go back a couple years ago where I had a jackass producer on the radio basically tell me that Ohtani was a sideshow. I mean, my goodness. How the hell do you still have a job, goofball? Got a lot of comments coming in. We want to break them down. A lot of games to dive into. We'll mix in a little college football. Bueller as well. Lloyd Vance, you guys out there, keep it locked in. Fast approaching the 5 o'clock hour. Want to remind everyone on a wonderful Friday, we are powered by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. Check out the show notes, BYP20. We just dropped a new episode of Back Your Play. That's up on Spotify, Amazon, also Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. Already hit over 1,000. I mean, Lloyd and I downloaded that. We dropped it yesterday. Already 1,000 plus downloads. You guys are fantastic supporting Back Your Play as well. That's powered by Fresh Roasted Coffee. Also, Three Brooks Bourbon. Get ready with tea and our good friends over at Play It Again Sports. 2 locations in Deptford and Mount Laurel as well. All right, quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get your comments, see what you guys have to say. A lot of Jet fans are chiming in. Yes, Justin Fields is done. He is not an NFL quarterback. And I believe Aaron Glenn might be one and done as well. All right, we'll get to the comments on the other side. I got a lot of Eagles fans chiming in as well, so we'll get your thoughts on the Sunday night affair against the Detroit Lions. Make or break time for some teams in the NFL. Some quarterbacks under the microscopes, head coaches on the hot seat. We got you covered. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock plus on this What the Frig Friday edition of On Cue. All right, 5 o'clock on the East Coast as we've got an hour to play with on this Friday edition of On Cue. Rich Quinones here. Appreciate you guys always chiming in. And again, on this 14th of November, 2025, Kevin C chimes in Q. Did you check out the Giants rating for the offensive line? Doing a hell of a job. Go and get me a head coach. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the plan is. I mentioned that Penn State, I guess Dable and Penn State, little flirtation. He's one of the hot names right now. You're going to hear a boatload of head coaches. I think Sunday will be fun from this standpoint. Jameis Winston is a likable guy, and Jameis Winston's probably going to be a little rusty, but Jameis Winston at least is going to throw the football, and he's going to stand in the pocket, and he's going to make it interesting. And I can tell you this right now, the Green Bay Packers better not take the Giants lightly. Now, I get it. The Giants, they've got it, they're a walking mash unit right now. I mean, their injuries and the players that will not be playing is utterly ridiculous. But the Packers are a beatable team. So Dart's dealing with the concussion. Slayton's got the hamstring. Thibodeau's out. Golston's dealing with the neck injury. Evan Neal stinks. He's dealing with a hamstring. See you later. And then you got questionable guys. Okereke, who, by the way, hasn't really done much this year. And Adebo, that they spent a lot of money on, the cornerback dealing with a knee injury. So they've got a bunch of players banged up. But at least Jameis Winston is going to make it somewhat entertaining. He might go 30 of 38 for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and 5 picks. Who knows? Or he might go 20 of 46 for a buck 86 and 4 picks and 1 touchdown. But at least he's going to throw the friggin' ball down the field. That's all that matters to me. Throwing the football down the field and just slinging a little bit. Russell Wilson was not going to do that. He just wasn't going to do that. He just wasn't. He wasn't. Can we get a warning for this headphone users when the Death Star mic feels like it's spazzing out? I mean, check your notifications. 4:45, and I came on early once again. Get out of here with that nonsense, man. Just here for the picks. Will Spite Cloud Q's judgment? Possibly. A lot of nonsense going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of nonsense going on. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't know why you guys are cocky going into this frigging game because you have nothing to get cocky about. Your offense have just basically been vanilla all season long. I mean, so I had a couple guys comment it from last show or two, you know, about, oh, they've overcome it. But what adversity have the friggin' Philadelphia Eagles overcome this season? Seriously, what adversity? They blew a fourth quarter lead to Denver, didn't show up against the Giants. Other than that, they won every single game. They're 7-2. They're 7-2 with another soft part of the schedule. After this game, they got the Cowboys, the Bears, the Chargers, the Raiders, Commanders, all winnable games. Like, what are we doing here? Eagles fans trying to puff their chest out. You know what they're trying to do? Convince themselves that all is well when it's not. It's not all well. You've got to disconnect with the offensive coordinator. You got to disconnect with A.J. Brown, the head coach coordinator, A.J. Brown, the coordinator, the quarterback, the wide receiver. There's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. And this offense better figure it out, or they are going to get their doors blown off Sunday night. Eagles are a good football team. They got to be the physical team. They got to bring the fight to Detroit. That's exactly what they have to do. And somebody's got to light a fire under this team's ass. Seriously. Somebody has to light a fire under this team's ass to get them going. Sunday Night Football, it's a big test. Especially how everything else is playing out in the NFC. So listen, I know that other pundits and talking heads on certain networks have basically come out and said this team is, you know, to paraphrase, a ticking time bomb, right? That's all you're hearing right now. The Philadelphia Eagles are a ticking time bomb. I don't know how you can say that when the team is 7-2. Now, the offense has not played particularly well. It hasn't. And again, you got a first-year offensive coordinator in Patullo. That was Nick Sirianni's call. That was Nick Sirianni's guy. Is there time to turn it around? You like to think so. They're too good of a team offensively to be this stagnant. So I'm not going to go out on this, you know, on this long limb and suggest it's about to implode because you got one player that's not satisfied with his reps, his touches, his snaps, his stats, his targets. Okay, that's kind of the norm in the NFL. It really is. KP chimes in. Yo, I'm with you. They should have benched Fields a long time ago. Listen, it's it's not good, and I'm telling you, when you're a head coach and you're trying to right the ship, change the culture, turn things around, you have to understand there's 53, 54, 55 other guys on that roster in that locker room. You're doing a disservice to them if you keep trotting out certain players. And in this situation, Aaron Glenn's doing a disservice if he keeps trotting out Justin Fields, who cannot play the quarterback position in the NFL. It was just like Kafka turning around and saying, look, I'm not going to throw Russell Wilson out there on Sunday. You just fired the head coach. I need to, let these guys know we're going to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of spark, see if we can win a football game without Jackson Dart. He's a franchise quarterback going forward, but Russell Wilson being benched is almost like a mercy kill. He can't play anymore. You got to give the fan base something. And if you're the Jets and Aaron Glenn, I got news for you, my friend. Justin Fields is not the answer. He's not. He's not the answer. He's a journeyman quarterback at best. That's all he is. He's a journeyman quarterback at best at this point of his career. And it's unfortunate. It's one of the reasons I threw out the name Kyler Murray next year. Because he's going to get jettisoned from Arizona. Now, you want to deal with that contract? That's a different story. All right, 5:05 on a Friday. What the frig Friday edition of On Cue. We welcome in our good friend from Fansided, John Bueller, joins us for a couple moments. How are you, my friend?
Doing a lot better than Justin Fields. How are you, Rich?
I am doing very well, and that was bad. I mean, when I know you were hanging out in the Q room for a couple moments. So, if you're the Jets and Aaron Glenn, there's nothing to salvage,
Nothing.
right? So, why keep trotting that kid out there? Because obviously he's not the answer. At least if you go with Taylor, you might get a little juice, a little spark with the offense.
Yeah, at this point, your season's pretty much cooked. And Tyrod Taylor's, his career's winding down, but throughout his career, whether that was with Baltimore as a backup, Buffalo as like a starter briefly, he's kind of been a good vibes curator, and you kind of need that. It's kind of always been, Justin Fields is from my neck of the woods. He's never been a team guy. The only time he was good is when he played at Ohio State when he had all the best players in the Big Ten on his team. And this is kind of what you signed up for. I understand that you're probably trying to salvage what you have under contract next year, but for the most part, I feel like you're just wasting everybody's time. Just have Tyrod Taylor out there and then go get you another quarterback next year, preferably in the draft.
When you look at Aaron Glenn's reluctance to bench Fields or his indifference with the media, can that be a justification for letting him go if they only win 2 or 3 games after one season?
Yeah, it would be optically would not be good because Aaron Glenn used to star for the Jets, but that was before Woody Johnson owned the team. And for as long as this guy's owned the team, it's been an absolute clown show. So, if you have the wrong guy, and it doesn't matter when but when you have to move on. Obviously, we kind of did the dog and pony show there with Brian Daboll. We're doing that right now in Atlanta with Raheem Morris. They kind of did that with Brian Callahan there in Nashville. When it's not the guy, and if you're still sticking to your guns, like, oh, Justin Fields is my guy, and we're like a 2-15 team, like what's the point here?
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, I think there's make or break moments for some of these teams. This is your statement game for the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
Period. Period. Now, as we already know on the record, I said Denver's winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, they're winning the AFC West. I even went out on a longer limb to the chagrin of Chiefs Kingdom and said there might be a shot Kansas City's going to be at the outside looking in when it's all said and done. I think Denver can deliver the knockout blow with the win. The problem is Kansas City still has Andy Reid. They still got Kelsey. They still have Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if Denver's defense is going to be able to keep them in check for an entire game. But my concern with the Broncos in this game is kind of like some of these other head coaches and quarterbacks in the league. I feel as though, now you tell me if I'm reading the room properly or not with this. I feel as though Sean Payton doesn't have a ton of confidence in Bo Nix right now.
I mean, he's the guy who stuck his neck out for Bo Chapman Nix coming out of Oregon and Auburn. The only guy who would have taken him in the first round. Look, the guy has an incredibly high floor coming out of Oregon. He started for 5 years at two Power Two schools effectively, but Denver's 8-2 right now. This is your opportunity to prove that you're not a paper tiger and go beat Kansas City. Maybe they will at some point. I'm a little dubious of it right now because on the other sidelines, you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, and I know what they're capable of.
Yeah, and the other thing is was just announced too that it looks like J.K. Dobbins is going to be out for this game. Significant foot injury, believed to be out for the foreseeable future. That's what Pelissero is reporting. Look, they need to run the football. It's something they haven't been able to do in a game like this. You want to limit Kansas City's possessions because they still have weapons and they're starting to run the football a little bit better. Um, and you're getting players back, i.e., Rice, that can open up the field obviously and make life a little more easier for Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and the like. You got to look at this game. I think there's two schools of thoughts with this game. If Denver pressures Mahomes like Tampa Bay did a couple years ago in that Super Bowl, like the Eagles did last year, and they get to him and rattle him, Mahomes is going to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because sometimes Mahomes tries to be superhuman and he wants to do too much and get a little too cute. I think Denver's defense needs to keep this game low scoring, heading into the fourth. If I'm a Denver fan, I don't want them to be down 10 to Kansas City with Bo Nix having a football under 6 to go in the fourth because I don't believe he's got the capability right now of making those plays. They need that lead, and then they need to run the football, let that defense loose. You cannot give Kansas City, 3 or 4 extra possessions in this game. So offensively, if you're Denver, what's the game plan?
You got to find a way to have Bo Nix have confidence in key passing situations. You need to be able to move the sticks like he did at Oregon and Will Stein and Kenny Dillingham's offense. You basically need to do that with Sean Payton. And you're right, though. You need to have the pass rush going after Mahomes to be like, okay, if it's like the Buccaneers Super Bowl or the Eagles Super Bowl last year, you can make Mahomes look like he's playing at Texas Tech where he just gets reckless abandon again. He always has that in him. He never quite gets
Yes.
rid of it, but like he's a phenomenal player. It's going to be kind of more of like Denver's got to be play close like an A minus game, whereas I think Kansas City could win if they play like a B game potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I listen, it's a good point. I agree. Tampa and the Bills, everyone's looking at the Bills are laying 5.5. What's going on with Buffalo? What's going on with Buffalo? Tampa, hey, you lost to a good team last week in New England that's red hot, one of the hottest teams in the NFL. But again, I look at this game, and if you're Buffalo, now all of a sudden you're looking up to New England in the AFC East, and Josh Allen hasn't played like that MVP caliber player. I mean, Buffalo is still going to be a playoff team, but man, I'm telling you, you start to look at this team and Bills Mafia is starting to get a little worried, right? Because after this game, they got the Texans, could be a tricky spot. The Steelers and Cincinnati's a bad team, but then they have the Pats and the Eagles left on their schedule. So they got to start rebounding here and picking up some wins.
I could see Buffalo playing pretty tight here, and I think this is kind of ultimately the Sean McDermott of it all. Anytime it gets kind of close, I don't trust him. And I think he kind of breeds that into Josh Allen a little bit. This is why they can't beat the Chiefs in the postseason. I know Todd Bowles is a fantastic defensive coordinator,
Right.
defensive mind, as in from like that Super Bowl versus the Chiefs and everything like that. But one thing that I think he does not get enough credit for is I think he puts out fires there offensively for the offensive coach. Like, okay, you guys can figure it out. I got the defense figured out. I don't feel like he takes away from the game, whereas I think Sean McDermott can kind of do it in crunch time. Plus, I feel Baker Mayfield's always willing to roll the dice where I'm not necessarily sure if Josh Allen always wants to.
He's going to have to. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's gonna have
because,
to.
these issues start to manifest themselves as the season goes on, and we're already in week 11, and we're starting to see that separation. The Bears go on the road against the Vikings, and again, if we want to take them serious, you go on the road to beat the Vikings. I think the Bears are an average team, a product of the schedule, but they're winning football games, right? And then sticking within that division right now, you got Green Bay on the road laying 7.5. The line's actually dropped to 6.5. Now that Winston's going to start for the Giants. Russell Wilson era has come to a end, thank God, with Dart out with the concussion. But this is a big game for the Packers because you can ill afford to lose this game. And more importantly, you can't have Jordan Love go out there and have a dismal performance. Like I mentioned this after that game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Neither team really did anything offensively, but I'm looking at Jordan Love and I'm saying he's just not that guy. Right now, Jordan Love he's not the definition of a franchise quarterback. The eye test is showing me he's a quarterback that has zero confidence right now. And if we want to talk about the play calling and the head coach, we can. But I'd be a little worried if I'm the Packers going on the road against a team that is banged up, wounded, and just fired their head coach.
Yeah, the Giants got nothing left to lose here.
There you go.
Jameis is going to let it rip here. Kafka is auditioning for a bigger role, whether that's in the NFL, whether that's potentially alma mater if that opens up there in Northwestern. This is a tough spot for the Packers because Chicago's not going away. We know what Detroit is. And the last thing you need in Titletown is to have doubt creep in with both your head coach and your quarterback. I like Matt LaFleur as a head coach, probably more so than I do Jordan Love as a franchise quarterback, but LaFleur is kind of in that Sean McDermott vein where like I don't trust you in the postseason. And when you look at Jordan Love in the postseason, like, come on, like I'm gonna take like X number of quarterbacks in the NFC over him head to head.
Oh yeah, the game they beat Dallas. I mean, they were able to run the football all over the place in a playoff game. It's not hey he was spectacular. He worries me. He's got a little hurts in him. Sometimes he's such an enigma, right? And you can't kind of figure it out. I'm not saying he's not talented, but he's not he's not giving me the vibe of I can carry this team. Now, did you hear the reports that were coming out of Green Bay that if it kind of goes south with the Packers or they're one and done, that Eberflus is going to, his job's in jeopardy?
Uh,
I'm sorry,
LaFleur.
Lafleur. Pardon me. Eberflus is already collecting checks, so yeah, Lafleur. Pardon me.
As a matter of fact, I did. They were talking about this a little bit there in Atlanta sports radio. Like, if LaFleur was let go, he may have interest in potentially coming back to Atlanta, where he
Really?
has, yeah, because he was the quarterbacks coach on Dan Quinn's staff under Shanahan, and if LaFleur is unemployed for a second, Atlanta's just going to come in and sweep up and grab him. Again, that's kind of the construct of like LaFleur. It's like you think he's better than McCarthy, but you've kind of gotten in that same sort of like glass ceiling there with Green Bay that you can't really, participate in free agency. You got to draft well, and you got to hope you can get a Micah Parsons trade once a generation to make a difference. Be careful what you wish for, Green Bay, because Chicago started to play with confidence.
Yep.
The pairing of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams has gone better than I anticipated. Detroit's kind of figuring it out, and then
Yep.
we'll see what the Vikings do at some point. I think that they got to make some changes this offseason in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, if it goes south in Green Bay, I could see them making some moves, potentially regrettable ones.
Here's one of my upsets: Seattle on the road against the Rams, and I
Yeah.
just think defensively they're going to cause a couple turnovers. Rams are laying 3.5. We know the level that Stafford's playing in, and people are going to kill me because they're going to sit there and say, "Well, this is all because I'm pro Sam Darnold," right? I mean, hey, it is what it is, right? Sam Darnold. You look at the one game against Tampa Bay where the ball goes off the helmet and it's a pick, but he threw for 342 in that game. Darnold has played really well. And the other thing that I like is Seattle has kept them upright. The Rams have a very good defense. If they get to Darnold, it could be a different story. But Darnold's only been sacked 10 times. So that line has done a really nice job. And he's got weapons that we've never even heard of until a couple weeks ago. So I do like Seattle in this spot.
Yeah, Seattle's been like the biggest enigma. There's always like one in each league. Like I just
Yep.
don't know what they are, and it doesn't matter. Like they could be playing the Super Bowl, and I also have no idea what Seattle is. I know this team is fully bought into Mike McDonald as their head coach, which I think ultimately serves them. I think the biggest secret out there is they have the best head coaching candidate out there in Clint Kubiak. I think he's ready for something really
There,
special.
listen, there's already been rumors with him to the Giants. Also, I think Green Bay coordinator, the way he's coming off during the pressers, they're like, this is perfect for the Giants, right? I mean, obviously, there's the usual suspects, the Belichick's and the Grudens and the whatnot. But again, that's another conversation for another day. So I mentioned, the prove it game for some of these teams. Very, very, very big weekend. And I'm looking at this Sunday night game, the Lions and the Eagles. And I just, Cam Newton basically said that the Eagles are ready to implode. And
They might be. They might be.
really,
It's the construct of you have the CEO type of head coach that works in college that doesn't really work in the NFL. Like what's Sirianni like? I know he was an offensive coordinator there in Indianapolis, but Frank Reich was a play caller too, and he's kind of come back here. When you lose some really good coordinators to other jobs, we've seen what Shane Steichen's doing there in Indianapolis. That team is really tough to beat. And obviously, I don't think it's going to work out there for Jonathan Gannon there in Arizona, but I still think he's going to get a job as a coordinator very quickly. When you lose coordinators like this, and you're kind of a brash, kind of bully Philly tough guy here with Sirianni, they can turn on you very quickly too. When like, I don't necessarily, I feel like the Eagles are not always the best when like, it's interesting that Cam Newton brought this up because he's the ultimate front runner, the greatest front runner of all
that's what I'm
time.
saying. You're right. That's why I brought it up. And he's been very critical of Hurts. He's critical of a lot of the quarterbacks. Look, he's never won. I mean, he had an MVP, but he decided I'm not falling on the football and ruin his career in the Super Bowl against Denver. So I get what everyone's saying, and I'm a very harsh critic when it comes to Sirianni. And someone said, well, they've been through adversity. I'm like, they really haven't. They didn't lose Saquon. They didn't lose Jalen Hurts. I mean, they haven't. They lost two football games, right? And one they no showed against the Giants, and then they blew a fourth quarter lead against a playoff team in the Denver Broncos. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, where's the adversity? I don't see it. So to your point, the only reason I kind of not even push back with it, John, is that I think the AJ Brown stuff is the focal point, right? And we know for a fact you're going to get the sarcastic cheers when they target him four times in the first quarter and he has a couple catches, right? But ultimately, it's the head coach and it's the play caller, the offensive play caller. And I think there's a disconnect. I don't think they're going to implode. I just don't think they're a really good football team right now. Now that can change in a couple weeks. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like imploding to me is we've dropped 3 or 4 and guys are barking.
It's like the ceiling will be lowered. I think they're going to win the division because I don't really trust anybody in the division. I forgot to
They're
mention.
running away. That
Yeah,
it's a wrap.
yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot to mention like what you lose Kellen Moore and you lose Doug Nussmeier to the Saints. That doesn't help you out at all from an offensive play calling standpoint. Again, this is hard. This is really hard. These guys are trying their best, trying to figure it out to come up with the best plays to score on these high caliber defenses here. But like the longer the AJ Brown thing continues, it's like Sirianni's like, hey man, just shut up and play football. like just figure this out. Like this is a team sport, and anytime the Eagles have won, they've won as a team. When it's been a collection of individuals, it's falling apart at the seams. Not saying that it's going to happen, but like this was a team that I had getting to the Super Bowl again and winning the NFC. I think this is probably a team that's going to lose in the divisional round.
That could be the case. I mean, I've said this multiple times. Seattle, Detroit, the Rams, they can go in Philadelphia and they can beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They're built that way. They run the football. Seattle's got to pick it up a little more, but they have a very good defense. Rams have a very good defense. Detroit can score. Now it's going to be interesting if Detroit goes in Philadelphia and Jared Goff shreds that secondary apart and they score 35, 38 points and they beat the Eagles by 13, 14, 17 points and the Eagles offense struggles again and Brown does again his touches and Jalen Hurts gets sacked. Worst case scenario, throws a couple picks, doesn't have a good game, and they bottle up Barkley. I mean, everyone's going to be looking at the nearest bridge, right? All over the place outside of Philly come Monday. Then there's a conversation. But the way it is right now, How do you silence people? You go out and you win the football game. And what they've been able to do is win games ugly, which tells me, yeah, they're a good team. I just don't think they're a great team right now.
They're playing with their food right now, Rich, and I think when good teams can do that and get away with it, but it leaves you so incredibly frustrated where you come away from like a win feeling some level of empty here. And maybe this is around the time of year where teams start to like pick up stride. They find their stride. They start playing winning football team. This is when all the best Bill Belichick Patriots teams kind of started to figure it out in and around Thanksgiving. Maybe the Eagles can do that, but they're going to need to do that to accomplish all that they want to.
Speaking of Belichick, so we were debating this the other day. Everyone's looking at Belichick in college, and I still maintain he wants to come back in the pros. And again, we can save that bar talk for another day. But you look at Andy Reid and the two tours he's had, right? Philadelphia and Kansas City, turning two of those both franchises around and winning a lot of games. You look at Bill Walsh and the success that he had all those years in San Francisco and going out on top when they won it in '88. You throw in the George Hallases and Lombardis. Is it possible that if you really took a step back, you can make a case for someone other than Bill Belichick being the greatest head coach of all time?
That's you're making a compelling case there. I
That's what
think
I
you
do on you.
yeah. I mean, he's certainly a Mount Rushmore guy. Again, we still have opportunities to extend what Andy Reid's doing there in Kansas City. For me, I'm always like, okay, Bill Walsh was always fantastic. Bill Parcells had his again the mentor for Bill Belichick. Belichick's up
Yep.
there too. I don't know, maybe try to think who else. I think like Chuck Noll was up there forever, and I
Chuck
feel like
Noll. There you go.
he's
Yep.
kind of been lost to time a little bit there. Joe Gibbs did a bunch of incredible things too, winning 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks in
That's right.
Washington. Um, but I think the thing that probably serves Belichick in the end is like three different kind of runs there. You had like the early Brady years where you won Super Bowls with defense, the middle years where you didn't win it, but you probably had your best team in '07. Then he won a bunch there at the end when he was like at or pushing or past 40. But there's other guys out there that are doing incredible things or have done incredible things that I don't think necessarily get the shine of Belichick. Where like the Eagles never like Eagles were just so incredibly dysfunctional before Andy Reid got there. They almost won one with McNabb and Terrell Owens.
Yep.
The Chiefs didn't win playoff games, and then now they have the
Yep.
Arrowhead Invitational every year. So maybe Andy Reid could eclipse him. I don't know. Maybe be a fun argument there in a couple of years.
Listen, he's moving up there, and I think he's fourth all time in the wins list. Real quick, baseball. I mentioned this on the air. I said I can't believe years ago on radio I had a producer that told me that Otani was basically a sideshow. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, that might be the dumbest comment I've ever heard in my life. I would love to maybe, revisit that conversation with that goofball. But you look at Judge, you look at Otani. I mean, you can basically pencil these guys in every single solitary season when we're talking about MVP. Did you have any issue with Judge winning the MVP in the AL?
More so than probably Otani. And again, I'm not the biggest Otani fan. Phenomenal player. I think he threw Ippy under the bus, and that's kind of hard for me to kind of like get past. But I do think that Seattle kind of had a year. Seattle had. I'm a big narrative guy, so when you've got a guy who's like taking your team and elevating it to new
Yep.
heights, like
Yep.
What Cal Raleigh did, like
Yep.
Seattle didn't make the playoffs. Seattle's awful. They're the only team that's never been to a World Series. They came within one win of doing so for the first time ever. He's playing catcher too. That's
Yep.
really hard.
948 OPS, 60 home runs, and 125 RBIs.
So like when it comes to MVP, and again, Cy Young's different. I respect what Paul Skeens did and everything like that. Pirates are kind of an embarrassment, but like with baseball MVP, I want this guy to be playing on a team that's like in the postseason and winning postseason games. Like you can lose me with the Mike Trouts and the Andre Dawsons winning MVPs when last place teams. It just doesn't do it for me. Like celebrate the season that the guys are having, not what they're
Right.
doing.
Right. So we've seen it's been rare, but you have to go back. Andre Dawson won the MVP on a bad Cubs team in '87, right? I mean, and you're talking about a position player, you're talking about a catcher now with those monster numbers. But people will argue, like Darren chimes in on X, cute to me. Think about this. You're talking about a player that was more valuable to his team more than any other player was to theirs. That's simple. He was not the best player in the league. Was Judge overall the best player in the AL? And was Cal Raleigh the best or the most important player to his team? Well, I think both are true, are they not?
They are. When I look back on the 2025 MLB season, I'm more inclined to think of what kind of year Seattle had because of Cal Raleigh than I will with what Aaron Judge did there, because he's won before. He's won them a couple of times. It's the same thing with all the MVPs that Albert Pujols won, which is
Right.
great and fantastic. He's an all time player, but there may have been '05 Andrew Jones' best year. Like that's probably if he wins that, he's in Cooperstown now.
I mean, it's just remarkable what Otani is doing and has done. And listen, I mean, I'm an Aaron Judge guy, but I also know the reality is this: you can, bat 336 and drive in a buck 30 and hit 56 every single solitary season. That's great doing it April, May, June, July, August, September. You got to do it in October. That's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to do it in October and be that postseason player. And you're going to probably ultimately look at his career and say Hall of Famer and all time great, but never won in the postseason. And I know that baseball, it's a different animal, but still, man, it's the nature of the beast.
100%. I'll throw something your way. I saw this graphic. I forget where it was. I wish I could give them credit, but they said take one pitcher, regular season and postseason, like they're your guy for the whole year. Like who's the best in baseball, like combined regular season and postseason. I know we talk about Koufax's prime.
I,
Bob
I was
Gibson,
literally about to you read my mind. I was going to say Sandy Koufax.
Koufax or Bob Gibson are probably the two that I'm
Bob
like.
Gibson in the postseason was
Mm-hmm.
Bob Gibson was an unbelievable pitcher. Yeah, and he was a nasty pitcher. I mean, and you're right. I mean, um, Gibson and Koufax. I Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens,
Maybe Pedro's kind of up there too,
Pedro.
but like I guess you could maybe say Scherzer, kind of more modern era now, but like Koufax and Gibson, like what they were able to
How about
do, they're
Schilling?
Schilling too. Schilling had some good stuff there. Then we'll try to think. My Braves
I
guys.
also think the eras are the era. Not to interrupt you, the era in which those pitchers played in. I mean, look, these guys were they were not logging anything less than 7, 8 innings. I mean, complete game, a complete game was the norm. I mean, Sandy Koufax won 166 games. I mean, he had a run where he was Cy Young like 4 out of 5 years, and he retired when he was 30.
Yeah,
I mean, and I mean, think about that for a minute. He retired when he was 30. He had arm issues. He had arm problems. If he would have pitched another 4, 5, 6 years, I mean, if they had the type of, you know, treatment like they do now, or the rehab and the injuries and how to get through them and all that stuff, Sandy Koufax had 137 complete games in his career. I don't think we've had 137 total complete games over the last 20 years in baseball.
no, his 6 year run there is probably never going to be replicated. I always think back to like what Bob Gibson's like best season ever, where it's like he finished every inning that he started. Like he basically
Yeah.
threw like 30 complete games, and like in the five that he didn't, he got pulled out like after the seventh
Yeah.
inning and beyond.
It's
Like
it's 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 different. That's why, like, I get annoyed when these guys are pulled 4, 5, or you go, relief by committee, bullpen by committee, or the middle relief starts and then the starter comes in for. And I understand it's the new type of baseball with the analytics,
I know,
right?
man.
Everything is all about the analytics. And same thing in the NFL, like not to stray too far, but the other day people are complaining, why is Sirianni going on 4th and 6? That's the right call. I'm sorry. It's the right call. It was poorly executed, but that's the right call. It's just, this is not like our father's Giants or our father's Eagles or Cowboys back in the day where, oh my God, 4th and 2, take the points. It doesn't work like that anymore. And baseball is the same thing. You have all these stat and geek heads in the analytics. I mean, imagine a guy going 7, 8 in game 6 or 7 of the World Series. Now, this year, a little different. Yamamoto's a friggin' beast. I'll go to battle with that kid any day of the week and twice on Sunday. But overall, we just coddle these pitchers. We just coddle them.
Yeah, you don't have like Tom Glavine going 8 in game 6. You don't. That doesn't happen anymore.
No, now you said you're a Pirates fan?
No, no, not no,
Oh,
no,
okay. I was
no.
because I was going to ask you. You got these reports coming out that the kid might want to play for the Yanks or the Mets.
He probably will. They'll pay him more because Bob Nutting doesn't like to pay anybody anything. We'll get.
That's but
Well,
yeah,
it stinks. I want him to be able to play his career there and have a really have like at least a good playoff run or two in
that's what I was
Pittsburgh
going to say.
because it's a remarkable stadium. They've got really good people there in Pittsburgh. You want to see these
It's a great
guys.
fan base. It's a great
Yeah,
franchise. They just stink.
yeah, yeah. That's what you hope for. You hope that they can make it happen. You can hope that you have a season like Seattle just had.
This kid went 10-10, and his ERA was 1.97. He got zero run support. His WAR was 7.9.
Yeah, that's like the King Felix Cy Young from like 15 years ago
That's
for
right.
Seattle, pretty much. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. What do you got going on this weekend? I know you got college. Anything with the pods going on?
Um, Arguing a lot with my co-host Cody Williams about what's going to happen between Georgia and Texas. He's a sucker for Texas. Texas hasn't beat Vanderbilt. I'm riding with Georgia here, and then a really interesting game there in Tuscaloosa with Oklahoma and Alabama. Oklahoma might have a decent shot here, depending on if Mateer can play, but Alabama can compete with anybody. I don't know if they can run the football. There's also an interesting game on there as well with Notre Dame and Pitt. Pat Narduzzi is probably not going to try to play to win because he wants to win the ACC, but Notre Dame has been playing a playoff game every week since week 3. So we talk about that there on the pods there. And as far as the Falcons are concerned, I'm just done with Raheem Morris and get somebody in here who knows what they're doing offensively to not ruin Michael Penix Jr., please.
Have right now with Texas and Arch Manning. I mean, they had that bad loss in Florida. Um, they've won 4 straight now. Granted, you look at some of the level of opposition. Vanderbilt, he played well. The kids played well over the last couple of weeks. He's still not. If he were to come out, he's still not your top quarterback coming out. Is it the kid Mendoza?
I would probably say Fernando Mendoza is probably your best bet. I would say Ty Simpson of Alabama is certainly up there too. Simpson kind of reminds me of Matthew Stafford, whereas Mendoza kind of reminds me of Jared Goff. Two guys that went number 1 overall and were traded for each other.
That's
So
right. That's
unbelievable.
All right, brother. Well, look, man, great stuff as always. Everyone give John a follow on social. Check him out on Fansided and all the blogs that he posts as well. Great stuff. Definitely appreciate the extended time with you on this Friday. Enjoy the college football, enjoy the NFL, and we'll do it again next week, brother. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
All right, you got it. There you have it. John Bueller from Fansider. All right, we got a lot of comments, 5:37. I want to hit a break, and then we'll get to the comments as well. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. All right, welcome back, everyone. 5:37 on a Friday. Good stuff on X. Got a lot of comments coming in. B-Man chimes in. Q. The Patriots have beaten Tua, Bryce Young, Josh Allen, Rattler, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Penix, Baker Mayfield, Justin Fields. Come on now. Hey, they won the friggin' football game. They're winning football games. They're winning football games. So let's not sit there and say they're a fraud of a team. Michael chimes in. Did you like the unis of the Pats and Jets from last night? Yeah, they were all right. I'm all about the throwback. I'm all about something a little different, no doubt. Luca Brazzi, is the Q room like the champagne room at Wizards asking for a friend? I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't think Wizards did not have one of those rooms, to be honest with you. Sideshow Tani. So, yeah, an old producer of mine basically said he was a sideshow. How about that? I mean, that's embarrassing, right? Da, 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 da. Sam chimes in. Justin Fields is not as bad as you're making him out to be. Q, 1,600 yards, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick. Really? Uh, Come on. I mean, what are we doing? Now we're just looking at flat stats. That's what we're doing. Do you watch the frigging games? Seriously, I'm being honest. Do you watch the games? Did you watch last night? Do you realize Justin Fields is averaging over his last 3 games like 4.5 yards a pass attempt? He is afraid to throw the football, and the head coach is a freaking clown for allowing him to remain under center. Period. All right, let me give you my picks because I know you guys absolutely love the picks. Obviously, we loved the Patriots last night laying the 13 and a half, got screwed on that one. Washington and the Dolphins, you got the issue with Washington and Daniels and Mariota, and then you got the Dolphins at home laying 2.5. That game, you say at home, but it's really in España. So I feel bad for my Spanish brother in there in Madrid. 9:30. I like Miami. My Washington Commanders are pretty much done. It's just not their year. They've dealt with way, way too many injuries. Jaden Daniels is going to be out again. It has been a very disappointing sophomore slump type of season for Washington. Miami's trying to build upon a big win over Buffalo and at least try to close out the season with a couple wins. Panthers and the Falcons. This is my look but don't touch game. Atlanta's laying 3.5. This is a game that I told Lloyd the other day. I can't trust either team. I can't. And quite frankly, you talk about these young quarterbacks in the NFL. Bryce Young is just not a good quarterback. He's not a good quarterback. He's not blowing you away, and it's unfortunate because I like Bryce Young. I think he's a good kid, and he's a young kid. But man, those hits he took his first, he just never really regrouped and responded. He's not the answer with Carolina. He's not. And that's the top overall pick a couple seasons ago. But Atlanta stinks. I'm not a fan of Atlanta at all. As John mentioned, that coach is on the hot seat, buying his time. They might have a change in Atlanta. Tampa Bay and the Bills. This is a really interesting game because Buffalo's got to run the football. They can't stop the run. Tampa is a team that you can open it up a little bit with Baker Mayfield. You've got some, decent weapons, even though they're kind of like the 49ers. They've got some players hurt on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to have to run the football first and foremost. And you got to do better than 10 carries for White. You got to get him more involved in the offense if you're Tampa Bay. I think you got to get him cooking a little bit. I don't believe that Irving's playing. I think he's been ruled out, so White should get more of the carries. The onus will fall a little more on Baker Mayfield, but Buffalo's got to bounce back. This is a tough spot for Tampa Bay. Buffalo's at home. New England already won. The Bills are 6-3, second place. They got the Texans, Steelers, the Bengals coming up. They can go on a little mini run right here. They're trying to put pressure on the Patriots, right? And now you look at that game, December 14th, that's a huge divisional matchup. So imagine now if Buffalo has a chance to win a division and the Jets beat them last game of the season with nothing to play for. Well, they haven't played for anything in the last 10 years. But point being is this is a big test and spot for Buffalo. I think you will see the MVP Josh Allen in this game. Texans and the Titans, I don't like this game at all. Sorry. I don't. The Bears and the Vikings, I do like the Bears on the road. Now they're getting 3. It kind of tells you where Vegas and the betting public's at. They don't believe in the Bears just yet. They don't. I'm not a fan of McCarthy. I'm not a fan of what the Vikings are doing at all. I'm starting to grow a little bit. Caleb Williams growing on me a little bit. I like this kid's moxie. He's starting to settle in. He's making much sounder decisions. Give me the Bears in this one. Green Bay and the Giants. So here you go. Crab Lakes time. Jameis Winston, just sling it. Praise God. Quote the Bible and have fun. 20 of 28, 288, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks. Who knows? Green Bay better not take the Giants lightly in this one. The Giants defensively are not a good football team. If this was a get-right game offensive opportunity for Green Bay, it's Sunday. Green Bay wins the game, but I believe the Giants will cover in this game. And if you're Winston, you're just going to go out there and you're slinging it. We know he's going to be rusty. Look for Robinson and Theo Johnson to get some good touches. They called up Isaiah Hodges. They just signed him off. I think some other team's practice squad. He knows that offense. He was with them a couple years ago, had that big playoff game against the Vikings on the road would win. Here is one of my upsets of the weekend. Cincinnati outright. Cincinnati outright on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Give me Cincinnati getting 5.5 on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do not like the makeup of the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. They have dropped 3 of 4. Aaron Rodgers is hit. He's been sacked. He's been attacked. He's been put on his ass. He's struggling a little bit. I like Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's going to move the football and they're going to score some points. Give me Cincinnati outright over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mark the tape, as they say. Chargers and Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has regressed. Jacksonville's really going through it. They are. They're 5-4, and they basically blew a 19-point lead. No Harrison, no Strange, no weapons, no chance against the Chargers. Chargers feeling pretty good about themselves with their win over Pittsburgh last weekend, and that defense held Pittsburgh to just 10 points. Give me the Chargers in this one. Seattle and the Rams. It's a big game. Could be the game of the weekend. Seattle and the Rams, 405 spot. That's got to be Brady and Burkhardt. I pretty much already said with John, I do like Seattle on the road. I think it would be an upset. I'm very high on Seattle's defense. I think they're going to find a way to get to Stafford in this game. As long as Darnold doesn't make that back-breaking interception, Seattle's fairly healthy. They're getting some players back. They're getting their linebacker back, Jones. I think they're getting their cornerback back. They got some very nice offensive weapons. They really do. This is a great spot offensively for Sam Darnold. Like, it just fits. Sam Darnold playing with a lot of confidence, sitting back in the pocket. He's only been sacked 10 times. So the offensive line is keeping them upright. They need to run the football a little better. That's been pointed out on the show from you guys. They got to figure out a way to run it more consistent, but they have weapons all over the place. And Darnold sprays the ball all over, and he gets the tight ends involved, the backs out of the backfield. I like Seattle on this one. If there's a play in this game, I would say play the over with the total in this game, but give me Seattle on the road. 49ers, they get back Brock Purdy. It's a good spot for the 49ers to have Purdy start. I actually heard a couple people say, well, what happens if Purdy struggles a little bit? Will they go back to Mac Jones? They're not going to do that. You look at the 49ers schedule right now. Arizona, the Panthers, the Browns, the Titans. If the San Francisco 49ers, even though they are a banged up team, if they can't win 4 straight, then they don't deserve to make the playoffs. These are all winnable games. And they should be pissed off because they just got humbled by the Rams. They were down 21-0 in a blink of an eye, 21-7. They lost 42-26. The Rams could have put up 50. Look for them to run the football against Arizona. Arizona's offense is limited. Brissett will make a mistake. We know that. He will make a mistake or two trying to force feed the ball. Arizona's coming in this game. They also have some injuries. Knight's out. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out, I believe. I think he's been ruled out. He's going to miss that game. He had surgery to address the appendicitis. So this is a really good spot for the 49ers, banged up and all, to win this game and maybe go on a little bit of a run. Because the Panthers are not good, the Browns are not good, and the Titans are one of the worst teams in football. So I am confident I will go with the 49ers, and I will have no problem laying the 2.5 on the road. The Ravens and the Browns, Baltimore, we've said it over the last several weeks. The Browns are not a good football team. It's just a matter of time when they're gonna keep clamoring for Sanders. Baltimore should be able to win this game, and quite frankly, I don't even think it's going to be close. I really don't. Lamar Jackson, he's got the green light. He's go. Derrick Henry, I know Cleveland's defense is good, but I think Derrick Henry is going to have a couple of opportunities in this game. And, Derrick Henry was only held to 23 yards against Cleveland early on, but I think they're going to run him. They ran him 20 times against Minnesota. They ran him 19 times. Look for Henry to carry at least 25 plus times in this game. I do like Baltimore I wish the line wasn't as high. I mean, think about this line for a second, right? You got AFC North rivals. You got Baltimore going on the road, divisional game against Cleveland. They hate each other, and they're laying 7.5. Chiefs and the Broncos. This is a game that we went into a lot on Back Your Play. This is a game we just talked about. If the Denver Broncos, if we want to take the Denver Broncos serious, and we say this is a legit contender, this is a team that can come out of the AFC, then Peyton's got to devise something for Bo Nix, and they have to run the football. They have to do more offensively, and they got to get to Patrick Mahomes. They do. Now, the betting public tells you that they believe in Kansas City and they think Denver's a fraud, with all due respect. I don't necessarily believe that, but these are one of these games where maybe Denver is not going to be able to, punch up in weight class. Dobbins is a big loss, and I don't know. I think Sertan's going to be out, right? And I also think Singletary is going to be out. Singleton, their linebacker. So Kansas City should be able to run the football or at least off tackle. And I think Mahomes is going to start picking on that secondary a little bit. Denver's got to get to Mahomes. They have to keep this game. If you're a Denver Broncos fan, you need to keep this game. You need to hold Kansas City under 24 points. You need to hold Kansas City under 24 points because offensively, you got wide receivers that are banged up. You got no Dobbins, who's run the football extremely well. So now all of a sudden, there's no Kansas City, there's no threat of stacking the box. So now they're going to tell Bo Nix, try to beat us. Try to beat us. Sling it. Try to beat us. And that's where your wide receivers have to come into play. Now, Mims, I think, is questionable. Dobbins is out. Harvey's going to get some of the run, some of the burns. Sutton's got to have a game. Franklin, Clifford Franklin, this kid either makes a great catch or he's got Featherstone hands. He can't freaking catch the football. So that worries me a little bit. Denver's got to get to Mahomes, and they have to limit possessions. They cannot allow Kansas City to get in third and short and convert. You got to play 20-20 if you're Denver, meaning I'll let you move the football. I'm going to get you off the field, but I'm going to start to ratchet it up in the red zone, and I'll allow those field goals. I'm not going to give up touchdowns. And that's something that Denver's been able to do this year when we talk about the red zone defense. They're pretty good, and they get to the quarterback. And you're going to need that. And I think they're going to be very aggressive. Here's the problem. You can be really aggressive if you know you got corners. And now that they have some issues at the cornerback position, do you rush 4? Do you rush 6? Do you rush 7? Do you drop 4 back and cover? It's like, now you're going to see this chess match between Andy Reid and Sean Payton and the defensive coordinators respectively. And man, I'll tell you, if I come on the air Monday and Denver has won this game, then well, they didn't make me look like a genius because they need to win the Super Bowl. But I think it's going to speak more about Denver showing they can compete against Kansas City. And we'll have the conversation, is Kansas City done? Kansas City loses this game, they go to 5-5. Now, not even about betting this game. If history has taught us anything, Kansas City a couple years ago was 5-4. They were plus 450 to win the AFC West. Everyone said they were done, and they ripped off 6-7 wins in a row, and they won the Super Bowl. So we've seen this before from Kansas City. Backs against the wall. Here we go. No one's taking us serious. And the other thing is Andy Reid off a bye. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that. Andy Reid has a phenomenal record, again, off the bye. How does the Dobbins affect Denver? It's pretty much what I was saying. It's going to be a tough. Denver still has to be honest when it comes to the run. They still have to try to run the football. It worries me a little bit with no Surtain. And that's going to put more pressure on this defense to collapse and get on Mahomes. And you got to keep Mahomes in the pocket. You can't allow him to start scrambling all over the place and making plays. Go there, Q. Pick the Broncos. Listen, I said this on Back Your Play. I went on the record. I picked the Broncos to win this game. I said, this is my prove it game. This game, I come on the air Monday and say, see, here you go. This is why Denver's a legit threat to come out of the AFC. But I'm so worried that their offense does nothing. It concerns me. It concerns me. Denver scored 18 points against the Texans, and then they scored 10 points against the Raiders. The 40 are they the team that scored 33 in the fourth against the Giants? Are they the team that scored 44 against a bad defensive team in the Dallas Cowboys? I mean, hell, if Knicks goes 19 of 26 for 270 and four touchdowns and they win the game and put up 35, shit, guess what? The Denver Broncos are friggin' legit. They're legit. And the other thing that worries me is which coach tightens up in the fourth quarter. Sean Payton has to understand I got a young quarterback. I don't want to take the football out of my young quarterback hands. Now, even the ardent and passionate Denver Broncos fans will tell you sometimes you're probably cringing with Bo Nix. Sometimes he makes that gorgeous back shoulder throw or that gorgeous throw down the seam. And then other times you're like, where the hell are you throwing the football? If this is a fourth quarter game, I need Sean Payton to instill confidence in the quarterback to let it go. NFL is a very strange. Buffalo defense looks great versus Kansas City, awful versus Miami. Correct. Franklin needs a big game. He reminds me of Clifford Franklin in the replacements. Remember that? Couldn't catch anything. That Bo Nix stat I saw was scary. Which one was that? I'd like to know. Can you share it with me, please? Along with RJ Harvey. Yes, got to run the football. Super Bowl defense, very questionable offense. This year, they won their last Super Bowl. The defense more than carried them. You're correct because Payton had the noodle arm. Oh, here we go. Man coming through. This is my guy. Knicks on throws over 10 yards. 39% off target. Wow. Knicks standing in clean pocket. 37% off target. Spags is licking his chops right now. I need Denver to pound a rock. They're going to have to. But the other thing is, you know this, man. Denver also has to sustain drives. If they start going 3 and out and punting and you're going possession for possession, you only get so many possessions in a football game. You might get 8, 9 possessions in a football game. You got to make the most of them. They need to keep Denver off the field, their offense, and they need to get Denver off the friggin' field on third down. They have to. They have to. If the Broncos cannot get Kansas City off the field on third down, they will get blown out in this game. They have to. Kansas City, when they were at their peak, when they made their mark, when they were basically winning Super Bowls and running roughshod and winning the AFC West, they were a great team when it came to third down conversions. And they were aggressive on fourth down because that's what they do best. Because their head coach realizes I've got all the confidence in the world in my quarterback, all the confidence in the world in my quarterback to go out and make a play. Now, again, you bring back Rice and you've got a little juice. It opens things up. You go back to the game against Buffalo. Buffalo won that game 28-21. Forget about the total yards. They both had 10 possessions in that game. The yards per play, Buffalo in that game was averaging right around 6.3. So now you're in situations where second and manageable. Kansas City was right around 4.3. A little more pressure on the offense. And again, the other thing that stood out, Buffalo was 7 and 12 third down conversions. Kansas City was 3 and 13 against Buffalo. If Denver holds Kansas City to 3 and 13 on third down, likelihood of them winning this game increases. Denver needs long drives to win this game. That's it. Sustain drive. You can't give them offensive opportunities. You just can't. Hog the clock. Yes. Hug it. Hug it like it's a lot lizard. Exactly. Hog the clock. But I'm going to go with do you hug lot lizards? I don't know. I mean, if you do you use sanitizer? I'm going with Denver in this game. Lions and the Eagles. Here we go. Referendum, right? AJ Brown, they'll force feed him the football. We know it's coming. Phillies laying 2.5 in this game. Total's 46.5. This could be a potential NFC championship preview, right? It could be. I mean, you might get some crazy offensive plays with Barkley and St. Brown. I think St. Brown's going to have a field day as long as Jared Goff has a clean pocket. This is a great game for Sunday night football. This is, yes, you've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Here you go. You have two very good teams. Eagles aren't playing like a very good team right now, but we know their track record. We're talking about the defending Super Bowl champs. The Detroit Lions want to be where the Eagles have been. And, Dan Campbell has come out and he's basically said all the right things, respects the offense. Sirianni, the tush push, doesn't have a problem with it. The Lions showed you that they're this veteran team because they bounced back against the Commanders. They put them away. Now, offensively, I don't think they're going to change too much. I don't. Now, the one thing that worries me a little bit, and I got to check, and I'll pull it up right now to see where he's at injury report wise. So Laporta has been ruled out. That's a huge loss because he is Jared Goff's, he's one of his go-to options, especially on third down, right? It's almost like the theme. So he's got that back injury. Now, the Eagles rank number 1 defensively in DVOA against tight ends. So that was going to be a tough matchup anyway. So the better matchup right now, I think Detroit is going to really utilize Gibbs in the passing game. I think they're going to have him come out of the flat. I think they're going to move him around a little bit, misdirections. He's a fantastic running back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's also an explosive back. He's a guy that he's got Barkley home run threat, right? He's got Barkley home run threat. You receive mouth hogs from lot lizards. Really? Huh. Q, are you going to have Costco on a breakdown the Rutgers wrestling scandal with ties to the Lucchese family? No. We'll have Costco on. But how about this? How about this? Nikki Six, hold on a second. Costco texted me the other day, and he wrote, unavailable this week, and I see a picture of Costco and his lovely wife, Chelsea, who gave birth to a baby boy. How about this name? And I'm probably going to butcher it because that's what I do. Cillian Nicholas Costco, 21 inches, 8 pounds, 4 ounces. Okay, I didn't know yet. Your boys can swim, baby. Apparently, that's a very Irish name. So, congratulations to the Costco family. Mother and baby are doing very well. And Nick told me that he has not slept in about a week. But yeah, we'll have Costco on next week. As far as the game is, we're hitting 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Is this going to be the bounce back game for the Philadelphia Eagles offense, right? We're waiting to see if the offense wakes up a little bit. Is this the opportunity where the Philadelphia Eagles, their offense wakes up? Is Jalen Hurts going to force feed the football to A.J. Brown? Is Barkley going to have that, breakout game like he had against the Giants? So you talk about the Eagles' pass defense. When you look closer, they've shut down Prescott, Mahomes, Stafford, and Baker Mayfield. That's the first 4 weeks of the season. Now, they've allowed over 250 passing yards twice. They've allowed a passer rating above 90 twice all year. I don't believe their pass defense is top 10. It's probably more of a top 5. They can shut down offensive teams, passing teams. This is where I think Detroit's got to be creative with their backs out of the backfield. And I think the loss of the tight end's huge. 28 points by Detroit. Eagles are going to be hard-pressed to win this game. They're going to be hard-pressed to win this game. Do I trust the Eagles' offense right now? No, I don't. And if you look at the advanced metrics, it would kind of shock you when you think about the passer rating, the yards attempt right under 7. So the Eagles to win this game, you get Detroit in 3rd and long. You also get Detroit to do something which is very uncharacteristic, and that's panic when it comes to 4th down and make Campbell second guess himself. He often doesn't do it. He rarely does it, but sometimes he will get caught up in that fourth down call. Both teams are going to go for a lot of fourth downs in this one. I think Phillips can be that key too because they had that lack of a pass rush, and this kid was very assertive the other night. 8 pressures, 2 quarterback hits, a tackle for loss. I think he recovered that fumble. Um, Man, I just don't know with this game. I don't. The Eagles are at home, so you do like them from that standpoint. They try to force feed AJ Brown the football, and the Boo Birds come out, and their offense struggles going into half. It might be a long night. I don't want to do it, but I am leaning towards the Philadelphia Eagles at home because every time there's been shit brewing with the Philadelphia Eagles or unhappiness with the Philadelphia Eagles or the media making a stink about what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles, more times than not, they've responded. So it pains me to say Eagles laying the 2.5. No spite pick, no reverse mush. Cowboys and the Raiders, Monday Night Football. I don't really care. But if I had to pick in this game, Dallas on the road, laying 3.5. All right, got to start wrapping it up. 6 o'clock straight up. Reminder: we're powered by our wonderful friends over at Get Ready with Tea, Three Brooks Bourbon, also fresh roasted coffee, Jersey Shore Breaks, and also want to mention we have a new sponsor, new partner of the show. That's Monmouth Park Charity Fund. These guys are fantastic. They do a lot of good work within the community. They are a nonprofit, and they've helped out a lot of other 501cs, nonprofits as well. And as I mentioned, they are now a one of our other sponsors and partners of On Q as well. Nonprofit agency provides services related to health, those at risk in the community, and those in need of special services. And they've distributed nearly 11 million to local nonprofit organizations. 78 years going strong. So we appreciate them being part of On Q. All right. There's your Football Friday edition of On Q. Don't forget BYP has been dropped. Check out the audio version. Lloyd and I broke down all your Week 11 matchups in depth, best bets, player props, win totals, overs, unders, you name it. We got you covered. Amazon, Spotify, Apple Tunes as well. We will be back in the saddle on a Logador de Radio, Lunes, Mentioso, Man Up Manolo Monday edition of On Q. Appreciate you guys keeping us locked in for well over an hour and a half on this Friday. Hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. Your comments are always priceless. Always enjoy the banter and the loyalty and you guys locking us in. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will be back in the saddle. Tomorrow, no show. We've got hoops and we got the fights. We might do a short edition on a Sunday, depending upon how exhausted we are. But if not, you got us Monday, 4 to 6 as well. Keep it locked in as always. This has been On Q. I've been your host, Rich Quinones. Have a wonderful Sports Friday. Have an even better weekend. Enjoy all the college football, all the NFL games, and we will certainly do it again on Monday. Be safe, be sound, and as always, hasta luego, buen día.